Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkis, and it's time for Saturday Morning Blast Off. Welcome, everybody. Well, welcome back. It's kind of like we just saw each other yesterday. Wait, we did. Before I get started, let me take care of some business. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the very end of this video. You're going to see a video pop up here. And basically what YouTube does, takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up there just for you. If you also want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule that I put up there. I change it out every week. Also, I'm usually within half an hour of my time. Yeah, I was late this morning. I'm usually late on Saturday mornings. I try, but news gathering is a little bit tricky, shall we say. So there's also on suspendedfanimation.com all the links to my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. No tier sipping on the Patreon. Wait until I hit 1,000 subs before I actually take money and give you stuff in return. Also, I have the link to this YouTube channel is in there, my Facebook page and a Facebook group page. If those of you have Facebook want to post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. Okay, let's get to it, shall we? So the big news, a couple of weeks ago, back in September, actually, yeah, I had, talked about Tatiana Maslany getting the role of SheHulk for the Disney Plus series. Well, she just did this little interview with some European newspaper, a small town European newspaper, and they asked her about it, and she goes, "Yeah," she goes, "I don't know what people are talking about." She goes, "That's a news release that kind of got out of hand." She goes, I haven't been cast for that role," and everyone's like, "Oh, what?" Yeah. So she's saying she hasn't been cast for the role, but I mean, Deadline posted this, the Hollywood Reporter posted this. These are not, your little fly-by-night rags that make up stories like, we got this covered. But yeah, these are actually reputable sources that are doing this, and I want to say even Marvel, Studios released something, but I can't be sure of that. So maybe, they got duped. It's possible. They could have gotten duped by something that had jumped the gun and came out that way. I know there's rumors about her being cast at one point. Just kind of like Alison Brie was getting rumored to be cast for it as well, but who knows? So supposedly she hasn't been cast as She-Hulk, and we still have it's still up for grabs at this point. I still want, Alison Brie to play the role, but that's just me. I don't know. I think she could do it, especially now that Glow has been canceled. The 4th season of Glow has been canceled and the rug's been pulled out from under them. Thanks to Netflix. Thanks, Netflix. Yeah. Fuck you, Netflix. So, some good comic news. There's going to be a Static Shock movie. Michael B. Jordan is producing along with Outlier Productions, and I can't remember if he's part of Outlier Productions or not. But they are going to be making a Static Shock movie for Warner Brothers, or DC is what they said. Honestly, I don't know what they're called now. Warner Media, Warner Time Media, AT&T Fuck You Verse. I don't know what they're called at this point. So I'm just going to go with Warner Brothers. But yeah, I've been looking forward to a live action Static Shock for a long time. It's a great character. It's not an old character either. It's something that's relatively new, like 90s is when it came about. So in comic book time, that's actually a relatively new character. Really, it is. And it's established character. I don't know if they're going to go with the whole teenage route. They could do the teenage route and do the whole Bang Baby story. That would be interesting. I don't know how that would work. Although with Michael B. Jordan attached, I'd like to see him in the lead role of this. It would be kind of nice to see that for a change, but who knows at this point. Um, yeah, it would kind of be interesting to see an older Static Shock, like someone who's already been in the business for a little while. I'm really tired of origin stories. You could do the origin story fairly easily in the in the credits, the opening credits or something like that. You can do I guess you could say a front-loaded stinger, kind of like the James Bond where you do a pre-opening and then go into the credits, and in the credits you basically do the origin story, if you will. You can do it in like a flip book style, animated. I've seen it done before. You can do it in a minute, 2 minutes, something like that, and still move the story along and not have to be bogged down with an origin story. I mean, fucking A, how many times do we need to see Uncle Ben die? How many times do we need to see Martha and Thomas Wayne get gunned down in the alley? I mean, seriously, how many times do we need to see Krypton explode? Uh, fuck, man. Enough is enough of the origins. Just go to the characters. That's what we're paying to see. Is we want to see the fully realized character. I really don't care how they come about. Well, I've already know how they come about, especially if they're an older established comic book character. It's out there. It's in the zeitgeist. It's in pop culture. Everyone knows this. Get to the story. That's why I'm kind of meh on the Pattinson Batman right now too, because it's like, okay, it's year one. We already go over that with Nolan? Yeah, I don't need to see that anymore. For once, I want to see a fully realized Batman who's been doing this for years, who is already in the thick of it. We know who the fuck Batman is at this point. Have him be a detective, doing a detective story. That's what he does. That's why he's called the Dark Knight, the Dark Detective. You know, ah, anyway, I harp on this way too much. So, who's out there, by the way? I see there's two lurkers. Anybody commenting out there at all, or no? So this is something that no one really wanted. Dexter is coming back to Showtime. And the showrunner, the new showrunner, has already said that he is not going to fix the ending of how it ended. He is not fixing that ending. The one where he fakes his own death and then lives as a lumberjack out in the woods. Yeah, that really stupid ending. Yeah, that is not going to be fixed. Why is Showtime bringing back Dexter? What else do they have they got? At this point, is anyone paying for Showtime if it's not already attached to some service that you're already paying for, that you're getting for free? Um, Obviously, I don't. Sister Spike says if he doesn't fix it, there's no hope for this show. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. He says he's going to take it uh, in a satisfying direction, is what he said. I remember reading a snippet of the article and then kind of laughing and just letting go of it. But yeah, I honestly, I can't see it as being something that is going to compel me to pay money to watch this. Just for Showtime. Yeah, I know, Sister Spike. Yes, it could be any damn thing whatsoever. So it can go in any direction. Again, this is just a grab for cash at this point. And again, like I said, we are in the midst of the streaming wars right now. It started about a year ago, the streaming wars, year and a half ago, somewhere around there. And we are in the thick of it right now. Showtime is late to the game. Very, very, very late to the game. They have nobody to tie their hitch their wagon to, shall we say, as the old axiom goes. And they are on their own. Their ass is hanging out in the breeze. No one's paying for that service. Uh, yes, Dexter is their only well-known property at the moment. So, I mean, what's the point? Yeah. Sister Spike says, I loved all the early seasons of Dexter, but I can't stand the thought of them making more if it's just going to be in the vein of the later seasons. I, yeah, I'm kind of over it. It's a character I don't need to revisit. It's been spoofed already. It's been manhandled, mangled, spindled, uh, folded, washed, dried, and put away, and should remain that way. I think we should be done with it and just let it sit where it's at. But maybe that's just me. Or, if you really want to go in a different direction, follow his girlfriend who's now got his son, and flash forward like 20 years or so. Dexter's dead or whatever, and his son has grown up. He's become a serial killer now, and he kind of gets a box from his dad, uh, that he wasn't expecting at a pivotal point in his life. And then you have that happen. Yeah. Sister Spike says if they had some really good writers, I could stand to watch more, but I doubt this. They're not going to be that clever. They're not going to be that clever at all. Again, like I said, it's a cash grab. Yeah, and all the really good writers are already taken by other, much better production companies now at this point. So December 18th of this year, coming to number 2, America, will stream on Amazon Prime, and it's going to skip theaters altogether. Originally it was going to, release in theaters this summer, if I remember correctly. And of course, some shit happened called the pandemic. And they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Now they said, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to release it. And they decided to release, instead of going through VOD, they're going straight to Amazon Prime and just releasing the streaming that way. I thought that was kind of a bold move, not even charging for it, just charging the Amazon Prime, subscription, I guess you could say. But that's it. Yeah. You think that was the best bet, Sister Spike? I think they could have done VOD and still made some money off of it. Quite honestly, I mean, look at Bill and Ted Face the Music. Quite honestly, I wasn't expecting it to do as well as it did, being released on VOD. And I bought it. Yes, I did buy it. But then again, I watched the first 2. It was a completist in me that wanted to finish it off. Did I like it? I did a whole video on it. And no, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. It wasn't the most horrible thing either. It was passable. But I probably could have waited till it came out on one of the pay services or something like that I'm already paying for, like HBO Max or, Netflix or something like that. I didn't need to pay to see it that early, but I did. There we go. I'm more disappointed about Bloodshot than anything else, that I paid $20 for that piece of shit, and now it's hanging like an albatross on my neck forever. It's just sitting there in my Amazon Prime movie selection because I own it now. I mean, I might go back to watch it just for shits and giggles on, for how bad it is in certain areas. It's a bad movie, Bloodshot. It really is. And again, I did a video on that one too. What's Bloodshot? That's the Vin Diesel movie, Sister Spike, based on the comic book, the really bad comic book. So in the 90s, people were releasing these splashy comic books. Basically, everyone and their mother was releasing comic books because they were hot. Junk bond dealers had just, crashed and burned on the stock market, all that stuff. So they were looking at comic books as being the next big thing. And so they were buying up all these comics supposedly to be like stock in a way. Bloodshot #1 came out. It had a chromium cover, which it was a shiny cover. Every fucking person in the world has a copy of that someplace. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an attic someplace in the world that is stuffed full of these things as insulation, because that's pretty much all it's good for. And it is one of those comics that was the most sold, and also the least. It's worth the least amount of money right now. And it wasn't a great story. Yeah. So, yeah, you remember it now. Like I said, less is more on that one. Excuse me. This is kind of interesting news. So, Anya Taylor-Joy is going to star as the younger Furiosa, along with Chris Hemsworth and Yahya Abdul-Mahteen II in the Mad Max spin-off prequel that's going to be directed by George Miller. Now, everyone was kind of surprised by this, I guess. I actually wasn't surprised by this because if you read the Art of Mad Max Fury Road, which I've got down here. Actually, I do have it right within reach. Look at that. Yeah, the Art of Mad Max Fury Road. They talk about it in here. That oh, sorry, trying to get that out of my way. That George Miller has had this in the works since he finished Thunderdome. Really, he knew what he was going to make Fury Road, and when Fury Road didn't come to fruition right away, he just kept working on it, and he worked on sequels after that and prequels. He knew where he was going with this, and so by the time he made Fury Road down there, he has 5 movies that he knows what he's making in the Mad Max world, if you will. And he always wanted to do a Furiosa prequel to it. So with Charlize Theron, yes, she did a great job as Furiosa. She does want to come back for the character, but George Miller never wanted to go beyond where he left her in Fury Road. Fury Road, that character is done as far as he's concerned. He wants to go back in time to show how she came about and how she became to be, if you will. And I think he only wants to do 2 movies, if I remember correctly, with Furiosa, the younger Furiosa, and then the other 3 movies, I believe, are all Max. So yeah, that's where we're at on that. And I mean, George Miller is not a young spring chicken. He is in his 70s, approaching 80 fairly rapidly here. So I'm all for it. I want to see this because Fury Road is a fucking awesome movie. If you've never seen Fury Road, go and watch Fury Road. It's worth the price of admission. Yes, it is all a chase movie, but yeah, 80 years old. Yes, he's there. And this man has lived a full life. I mean, he's a doctor, for God's sake, MD. And how he got into Mad Max is a very interesting story. There was a lot of deaths out in the Australian outback from people racing along roadways, and he and a friend of his started doing like almost like PSAs, trying to warn people, and they decided, fuck it, we're going to do a movie, and he did Road Warrior or Mad Max. Yeah, and started going to movies from there. It's a very interesting story. If you've never read about George Miller's life and what he's done and all that kind of stuff, I highly recommend just delving into it and taking a look. I think there might be a book or 2 out there, but there's also a lot of stuff online. So yeah, a very interesting character and a great director and a great creator too. An awesome creator. And I'm looking forward to that. Especially, I mean, you got Chris Hemsworth that's signed on to this as well, and Yahya Abdul-Mahteen II, of course, who was in Watchmen. Yeah, so I think it'll be a good movie. And Anya Taylor-Joy is not a bad actress. She's actually a really good actress. So and an up and coming actress too at this point. I'm just wondering if she's going to shave her head or if we're just going to have like short hair. Yes, I know she was in the New Mutants, but I wouldn't hold that again. From what I understand, she's the best part of New Mutants too, playing Magic. I haven't seen it, but excuse me. We do know it's coming out on DVD on the 17th of November. So I talked about that last week. Yeah. So what else do we have here? So a sequel, and I've talked about this one before, but we got another update on this, is that a sequel to The Last Starfighter is still being written by the original screenwriter, Jonathan Betuel, and Gary Whitta, the guy who did Rogue One and a couple other Star Wars stuff and other screenplays as well. So they're fleshing it out during the pandemic right now. Yes. And what Jonathan has said is that, yes, it takes place 40 years later. The main characters are still involved that we had, and they are now parents. And I don't know. I don't know if it's the same. It sounds kind of like the same movie all over again, only with the parents now being the parents. With the original protagonist being the parents now. Um, I don't know. I hope that's not the case. But yeah, the last Starfighter, the next generation, exactly. And again, it's this nostalgia thing of reviving shit from the past that really doesn't need to be revived. Unless you're gonna have a really good idea about what you're doing to revive it, and you've got the money to back it to actually make it viable, sure. If you're just gonna rehash what we saw before, nah, I don't need to see it. Or if you're just gonna gender swap the entire cast and redo the movie all over again, eh, I don't need to see that either. Make it something original. If you want to do a female John Wick, there's already something out there. It's called Atomic Blonde, and it's a really good movie. And it's not called Female John Wick. People call it Atomic Blonde because that was actually a comic that was made into a movie. So yeah, be original with your shit, man. Like I keep saying, I've got tons of books behind me here that have never been made into movies. There's another tier up there. That's why I was pointing up that way. And there's more down here. There's shit tons of stuff out there that can be made into movies that has not been made into movies. We don't need to remake the same five movies over and over again. Again, we don't need to remake the same five comic movies over and over and over again. There is plenty of stuff to draw from. There is plenty of experiences to draw from. Right now, I'm reading a book called The Poison Squad. The Poison Squad is based, it's not based, it's about how the FDA came into being. And this guy named Wiley, who was a chemist, and how he brought together these people. So if you don't know this, back in the 19th century, food adulteration was a huge problem. Like bread was mostly sawdust. Uh, this is bread being sold at grocers, by the way. Not that what people were making, but what they were buying from grocers. Butter was not butter. It was a lot of chemicals and animal parts and all kinds of stuff. Because margarine was made back in the 1830s, 1840s, somewhere around there. A French chemist came up with that. So yeah. And this guy basically came about and put together a group of people to taste food to see what the limits were on the human body could take in order to survive whatever additives people were putting into this food. That's how the FDA came about. That would make a fucking excellent movie, quite honestly. I've been reading this and I've been thinking about it going, how would you make this a movie? This is kind of interesting. And there's stuff like that out there. Make that into a movie. There's tons of shit to make movies about. You don't need, I know Hollywood is skittish about trying anything new. They want to go, well, that made money before. We're going to stick with that story. We're going to pound it into the ground. We're going to beat it into dust and get every last cent out of it. No, fucking do something new. You don't need to spend billions of dollars on it. You can, yeah. Sister Spike says it would only end up being Superman Eats Chocolates. Yeah, I know. And shits diamonds. I know you can't sell new Apple Crow. It's my same lament that I always have. But I'm going to keep lamenting. You goddamn clouds in the sky. Old man rants at clouds. That's pretty much what it's going to be. Well, some good news. Something that actually is new. Lock and Key has been renewed for a third season at Netflix. So Lock and Key, the second season hasn't been released as of yet on Netflix. We know it's already in the works and it's going to be released, but they've already renewed it for a third season. What this usually means at Netflix is that it's going to be its final season because Netflix does not go beyond 3 seasons. I hate to say that, but yeah. You've never seen Lock and Key, Sister Spike? Definitely watch it. It's on Netflix. Watch the first season. Or you can also watch my Is It Worth My Time? Lock and Key. Why didn't I go episode by episode on it? Because it drops all at once and it's fucking impossible to do because everyone's like, well, I don't want to watch your episode by episode recap of it. I just want to know what you think of the entire thing. Yeah. That's why I don't like binging on it. It's just horrible for reviewing or anything like that. Not only that, it's just horrible in general. You don't get to enjoy anything in a series, you know? Yeah, that's why I'm so glad what Amazon has finally started doing, especially they started with The Boys and they're going to do it with The Expanse as well, is they drop a couple episodes at the beginning. So The Boys drop the first 4 episodes and then they just basically release the other 4 once a week. The Expanse is going to be dropping the first 3 episodes and then they're going to be dropping the other ones every week, once a week. And streaming services are finally starting to get smart. So as a result of this, Amazon was able to finally surpass Netflix viewership for the first time with The Boys. I'm pretty sure they're going to do the same thing with The Expanse now at this point too. So what does that mean is that when you have more people watching your streaming service, it means that they are going to look around for stuff that is similar on your streaming service. That's what the Netflix model is. Netflix actually drops everything all at once, but they drop so much of it that you're like, "Oh, what's next in this? You know, what's next in this?" I can't tell you how many fucking cooking shows are on Netflix right now because there's a ton of them. And just because I watched 2 or 3 of them, now I'm inundated with cooking shows on there. Yeah. Yeah, The Boys is a good so the comic is different than the show, Sister Spike of The Boys. And it is a I say the comic's a little bit more crass and much more blunt, if you will, if that's hard to imagine on that. And the TV show kind of refines it a bit more. Um, and they're both their own entities, but I prefer the TV show over the comic now. So yeah, go figure. Yeah. Yes, the TV show version is stronger. You already have the kinks worked out by doing it in so everyone looks at comics as a I guess you could say a juvenile form of entertainment, a juvenile form of media. No, it's not actually. So in the movie industry, people do storyboards for movies. Basically, what that is, you're drawing out a picture of what's happening on the screen, the blocking of it, basically how it's going to look on camera and things like that. And you're almost animating the movie. Uh, Technically, you're just taking key scenes and you're putting them up there. And they'll do technically what's called an animatic to see how a movie runs. And I've talked about this before, where you take those stills for the storyboards and you run them out in the length of time that you think that the movie is going to run or that you want it to run. And you'll put in like filler dialogue, filler, special effects sounds, all that kind of stuff. And you'll see how the movie runs. And that way you get a visual sense of what's going to happen in the movie, what works and what doesn't. That way, when the director is usually going to film this and they film something and sometimes it'll change when they film and they film something, they go, that actually doesn't work. So we're going to cut this out. We're going to move this here, blah, 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 blah. That's what happens. That's all comics. Comic books are storyboards for movies, is really what they are. Look at Frank Miller when he did 300, and or Zack Snyder did the movie for it. Basically, all Zack Snyder did was he took the frames of the comic book and made them into a movie. He already had the movie storyboarded out for him. And that's a perfect example of how the comic translates directly to a movie or a TV show or anything like that. So it is not a juvenile form of media. It's just a different form of media. Yeah. See, you didn't think you're getting an education when you watch this either, did you? But you do every now and then, depending on my mood. So November 16th, we finally got a release date for His Dark Materials season 2. It's going to be on November 16th on HBO and HBO Max. I'm not going to be covering it. I really am not. The first season was boring as all hell. And also the main character is not in any danger. You have no sense of danger. You have no sense of tension in the show. You can tell that main character is going to survive no matter what. They could stick their head inside a garbage disposal while it's running and still come out unscathed. That's just the way it is. Sister Spikes says I cannot be arsed with that show. Yeah, I agree with you. It's horrible. It is a very horrible show. There's so much better stuff that's out there anyway, and we don't need to be burdened with that. And if you go to suspendedfanimation.com and take a look at the schedule, at the very bottom of the schedule, I have what's called future stuff. And that's all the stuff that's coming out genre wise. I didn't put everything on there, but I put the stuff that, I knew was coming out there for everyone. I wish that character would stick his head in that. Yeah. Yeah, Lin-Manuel is not really doing it for me on that show either. So it looks like the honeymoon might be already over for Mark Millar and Netflix. Netflix is not moving forward with a series based on Mark Millar's comic, The Magic Order. So The Magic Order was supposed to be the first series in Mark Millar's deal with so Mark Millar has done what's called the Millar verse or Millar world. I can't remember what it is. Basically, it's his world of comics that he's done and everything he's created. And the Magic Order was supposed to be the first one that was going to be adapted into a Netflix series. And it's about a group of magicians. And think of the magicians only, on sci-fi, but only better, like actually done with a proper story and things like that. And that's what Mark Millar's series was supposed to be. That could be the reason why Netflix also canceled it, because they're like, well, we've already got Sci-Fi's The Magicians that we're running anyway. We don't need a second one on there. So I can see why they did that. Yeah. And honestly, I would rather see Nemesis done. So Nemesis, Mark Millar's Nemesis is essentially what would happen if Batman was never a hero, but was actually a villain, and there was fucking nobody to stop him. Yeah, essentially you have a world that doesn't have any superheroes, but you have a guy that is basically an evil fucking mastermind who's going around to different cities and extorting them for money and stuff like that and doing just horrible fucking things. And he essentially tortures like a Commissioner Gordon into trying to stop his crimes before he starts them. And it's really well done. It's really fucking frightening and very depraved as well. And I know they were talking about doing a Nemesis movie at one point, but I think he might have lost the rights. And I know that Warner Brothers is doing something in that effect. And yes, they did, as a matter of fact, because he tweeted about it and how they've changed the entire storyline now, and it makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. Doesn't even follow the comic either. So, remember the old video game Monster Hunter? We've been talking about this one for a while now. So, the Mila Jovovich movie Monster Hunter is now supposedly hitting theaters in December, and we got a new trailer for it. All it is a bunch of CGI monsters laying waste to desert, I guess you could say, and blowing shit up and popping out of the sand and, flying a giant dragon with fire coming out of its mouth and Tony Jaa standing there with a gigantic sword, comical looking sword, whatever. And yeah, it's very, very, very generic. Exactly. This would have been better off if it went straight to Amazon Prime. Quite honestly, it's one of those movies that looks like it's not going to survive whatever theaters are left open at this point. Yeah, interesting side note here. I read someplace that AMC, I guess, is actually renting out theaters now. In some locales, they have a list of like 35 movies that you and 20 of your friends can rent out one of the theaters from anywhere from $99 to $350, something like that. And you have to provide your own popcorn. Well, you have to buy your popcorn there and your candy and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, why would I fucking do that? You know what? I've got a perfectly good screen and surround sound system at home. You can invite whatever friends you want over. You know, I'm not inviting anybody over, quite honestly. And you could do the same thing at home. And why would I want to watch Jurassic? Yes, it's on a bigger screen. Okay, but yeah. Yeah, it's exactly it, Sister Spike. Sounds like an expensive way of catching COVID. Not interested. Thank you very much, AMC. You can crash and burn and go into the history waste bin along with everybody else. So this one I wasn't expecting. I had talked about this movie being made a long time ago and I forgot about it, but Nick Cage is starring in a movie called Jiu Jitsu. And again, it's got Tony Jaa in it. It's also got Frank Grillo in it as well. And it's about every 6 years, supposedly a comet passes by and it opens up a portal on Earth, which allows an alien to come through, and he is supposed to fight the world's best martial artists, I guess you could say, or world's best fighters. And if he does not get to fight anybody, then he will destroy the planet, kind of thing. I shit you not. That's what this is all about. And I guess Nick Cage is one of the winners from the previous tournament, so he is there to teach the new people to come in what's going on. And this comes out to theaters and video on demand on November 20th. Um, yes, it is as crazy as it sounds. I watched the trailer for it and I was going, I was literally just kind of sitting there like that. And I was about to kind of leave it. And then after the credit roll, there's another scene right after the credit roll. And it's just a little thing. And Nick Cage says, "Oh, I can fly too," is what he says. And he does a flip, like, just one flip over Tony Jaa. You could totally tell it's a stuntman. And I started fucking laughing because it reminded me of Bowfinger at the very end, where Bowfinger and Kit, or Kit's brother, are doing the kung fu movie, and they're trying to fight, and they're, of course, you could tell they're old and not athletic and everything, and I was fucking laughing my ass off because of just how bad it was. I might just want to watch it just to see how bad it truly is. Yes. Yes, Bowfinger. It totally reminded me of Bowfinger. He's even in the gi. He's got the gi on with the headband going on. I mean, he's got everything going on from Bowfinger. I don't know if they just kind of watched it and they're like, this is kind of like a Bowfinger movie. We can get Nick Cage to be in this. It would work. um, it's horribly, horribly bad. I can't wait to see what it looks like. just because it's going to be fucking horrible and god awful. But it's Nick Cage, so he's got to pay the tax man somehow because he still owes money. Yes. So we got word that in a soon-to-be canceled sci-fi series called Day of the Dead, which is, yes, supposed to be a take on the Romero movie of the same name, we've got a young cast of pretty faces who I'm not even going to bother naming have been assigned to this. Quite honestly, I saw the cast sheet of it, or the placard of faces, and I was just like, I don't know any one of you. And you're on sci-fi. It's a zombie show based off a Romero movie, and the only reason why you're doing it is because Romero's dead, and the Romero estate is probably going to sue you, but who knows if they're going to get any money out of it. And besides that, it's going to be canceled anyway because it's NBC Universal, and they cancel shit at the drop of a hat, especially anything having to do with sci-fi or horror. So there you go. So just to let you know, it is out there. It's coming, and it'll probably be a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Which, honestly, you're not going to be too disappointed by that. Yes, I'm pretty sure no one wants to do anything with them. So the last thing I've got, and this is not too much of a surprise either, but Star Trek Discovery has been renewed for a 4th season. Huzzah! Because what else does CBS All Access have going for it? Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. It's nothing but Star Trek. They should just rename it All Access Star Trek, or the Star Trek Paywall is what they should call it. Just call it the Star Trek Paywall, because no one really cares. I don't even know what their numbers are right now that they have for subscribers, because they don't release that information. Netflix we know, Disney Plus we know, Amazon we kind of roughly know, that kind of thing. CBS All Access no one knows. From what I understand, it is under it's under 1 million people from what I've heard. I could be wrong. Most likely I am, but I know that it's a fairly small number of people that are doing CBS All Access or subscribe to it. But yeah, somebody get me a bolt gun is what. Yeah, I'm not interested in Star Trek Discovery. I tried watching that first episode of Lower Decks, and because it was free, and good fucking lord, that was horrible. Picard, I suffered through that entire first season, and that was just a horrible fucking mess as well. Yeah, if you're watching the series, Godspeed, because I don't know anybody else who is. Yeah, certainly not me. Although I am thinking about signing up for Hulu, at least the free access for right now, to see Hellstrom from Marvel Studios, just to see how bad it really is. It's the last thing from Jeff Loeb. There's a dearth of programming right now until The Mandalorian comes out at the end of this month. So I'm kind of like on the fence about, do I do it? Do I not? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it most likely. So, yeah. Are you talking about Star Trek, Sister Spike, or Hellstrom? Yeah, I know Star Trek. They didn't get the characters at all, and I've still come to the contention that this is not the Prime universe, that this is actually the Kelvin universe, even though they kept saying, no, this is still the Prime universe. It's not. It's the Kelvin universe. Yeah. I'm fairly sure Mando's going to stay good, Sister Spike. It's got Jon Favreau involved and Dave Filoni. And I know Dave Filoni has kind of peeled off a little bit from season 2 because he's been working on his own live action Star Wars TV series. And yeah. Apple Crow says it's written by the Kelvin writers and features the same plot origin as 2009. So it's Kelvin. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Apple Crow. They keep saying it's in the Prime universe, and I don't believe it. It's Kurtzman, so you know, it's the Kelvin universe. You can't convince me otherwise, and I'll fight you on it. Just with words. That's the only thing. Yeah, just with words. Sister Spike says, I don't know why they didn't say Kelvin right from the start. Because they were trying to. So the movie rights and the TV rights were split, and now that Paramount is back with CBS, and basically Star Trek is now all whole again, rights wise. Now they're trying to say it's all Prime Universe. That's why they were being coy about it and going, well, it could be the Prime Universe or it could be the Kelvin universe. We don't really know for sure now, do we? And then when they got the rights back, they're like, oh no, it's the Prime Universe. It's the Prime Universe. Really, it is. Yeah, it's like, no, sorry, it's the Kelvin universe. It really is. Yeah, they were trying to con everybody. They really were. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to be. So yeah. Applecrow says, is Spock an emotional wreck? I think so in that Discovery. I think he was. I don't know. I haven't watched it. It just looks horrible. But so I was looking to see what the dog was doing there, and she's just out cold. What else do I have going on this week? Well, tomorrow is going to be the season finale of Lovecraft Country. Yeah, I'm going to be sorry to see it go, but we got Lovecraft Country going on. Monday, I'm going to be off. Tuesday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's going to be Terminator Dark Fate, which, by the way, is available on Amazon Prime. I just found it last night. So, yeah, guess what I watched last night? It's going to be Amazon. Yeah. Terminator Dark Fate. Wednesday, I'll be off. Thursday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? I don't know what I'm doing as of yet. I'll figure something out for that one. Friday, I might do Hellstrom. I might do a back-to-back episodes 1 and 2 of Hellstrom. So just be warned on that one. And then, of course, Saturday, we roll back around again to Saturday Morning Blast Off. Yeah. There we go. Applecrow says, I used Learning Disabled Spock as my username for the better part of a year. That's funny. I remember that. Yeah. Applecrow also says, I'm up to episode 6 in Lovecraft, and 6 is my second favorite episode after the pilot. I can't remember. Is that the one where she is where we get the whole shape-shifting thing going on, or the skin walking thing, I guess you could say? Is that what episode 6 is? Oh, the Korea episode. Okay, yeah, the Korean episode is really good. Things kind of change a bit, and not in a bad way. I'm saying in a good way. In episode 6, after that, you kind of see that the Misha Green, the showrunner, finally finds her footing and plants them. And it's like, fuck yeah, and you'll be happy with the series. You got until Sunday, Applecrow, so you got if you're on episode 6, you got 7, 8, 9. So you got 3 more episodes to burn through. You could do 3 hours easily. Yeah. Applecrow says, I might have fallen instantly in love with Jamie. Yeah, Jamie Chung is. I've been talking about her for a while. She is a really good actress. She has been in tons of things now, and I'm glad that she is in genre. Quite honestly, her playing Blink in The Gifted was the best thing out of The Gifted. Quite honestly, and even though they didn't use her character that much because they couldn't afford the special effects for her character's powers, but yeah, she's actually a really good actress, and yeah, I want to see her in more stuff. Quite honestly, I want to see her headlining more stuff is what I want to see. And yes, I know Asian actress headlining a show. Go figure. Make it so. Somebody do it. It's not that difficult. I mean, come on. The way most shows are written now, you can interchange for the most part who the lead actor, actress is, all that stuff. You don't need to make it a white person all the fucking time. There's a lot of talented actors and actresses out there. Unless you're playing a, an ethnically specific character, then that's a different story altogether. Yeah. You don't want a white person playing an Asian or a white person playing a black person. Yeah, that kind of thing. You know how it is. That whole movement that we had going on. Scarlett Johansson knows all about it. That's why she's the butt of my jokes, quite honestly, whenever they talk about, they're going to hire or they're trying to cast some certain role that of course is not supposed to be for a white person. They always say it's Scarlett Johansson or Idris Elba, because Idris Elba can play everyone. Oh man. All right. By the clock on the wall, I think I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks everybody who joined me today in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the very end here. You're going to see a video that pops up here just for you. And if you like what's in that video, hit that subscribe button down there. And while you're down there for the subscribe button, hit that like button and the share button too while you're down there. If you want to know when I'll be on again next, you can hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com, take a look at the schedule that's up there, and also all the links to my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. Also, all the links to like this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and my Facebook group page are on there as well, if I can actually speak. Thank you, Sister Spike. It has been fun. Applecrow says they recast Leo McGarry with Sterling K. Brown in the West Wing reunion. Oh, okay. Yeah, also they recast well, speaking of which, like Family Guy, the guy who was voicing Cleveland Brown, who was a white guy. They recast that, and supposedly it's actually pretty damn good. I haven't watched it. I'm not really a big Seth MacFarlane fan anymore. He's kind of an asshole. So yeah, I'm kind of over him at this point. But good on them, but they actually recast that. But with that said, I want to let you guys go for the rest of the day. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow for the season finale of Lovecraft Country, Season 1. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may be recast in whatever role you've been signed up for because, quite frankly, you just don't have the experience. Thanks, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, and have a good rest of your day.